I do not think the American dream should be buying a home anymore. I think it's full of
shit.
It's a bad use of upfront capital, and it ties you up.
Correct.
And it's just not smart. Like, I'm pissed that I own a home.
Yeah.
I would literally rent in perpetuity now. And I will. Like, I've decided, like, I will never buy another new home.
Good.
College. Parents are tricked, forcing kids to go to college when 93% of kids should not go to college. I love when is accepted, but it's now broken because college and buying a home might have really been awesome. And I actually believe this in 1954 and 1973. The problem is it's 2019.
So, what do you think about that?
I think we should talk about it.
Okay.
All right, guys. Welcome to the next episode of Beer and Real Estate. This is the show where two guys talk about two of their favorite things, beer and real estate. I'm Ryan Wall.
And I'm Brian Colquitt. And on today's episode of Beer and Real Estate, we wanted to basically discuss a hot topic that just came out today in our real estate market industry. Mm-hmm. So, be honest with you, this is one of my dudes, you know.
I know it is. I know it is.
Like, man, you kind of like hurt me. You kind of like a stab knife in the heart a little bit. But Gary Vaynerchuk, man, came out today and said some things as far as his views, one guy's opinion on home ownership, the American dream. What's your thoughts on it, man? So after seeing the video, hearing some of the feedback, what do you think?
Okay, so let's be real. So
let's be very real.
Gary's a brilliant mind. We can both agree on that.
Yeah.
Extremely intelligent guy. Knows what he's doing. We can say that he knows what he's doing, investment wise, everything. Great advice. You know, and it is surprising, but to a degree, not so surprising, I guess I should say. You know, I see him, I see Grant Cardone. They're both, again, incredible, brilliant minds, but there's a little bit of shock factor to everything they do. That's what's going to get people, you know, people talking.
Attention grabbers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they can only say the F word so many times before they got to do something else to draw people's attention in. Am I right?
Very true.
So, you know, my thoughts on this, I want to say, I can't. I don't know where he's coming from, man. I mean, from any type of investing standpoint, I just don't know where he's coming from. Like, how can you say I would rent in perpetuity, which, you know, I hope I use that word right, rent for from here on out.
Spell check.
Spell check. But rent from here on out, rent forever, as opposed to buy another home because I want to keep my capital for other investments.
Yeah.
Is renting not a 100% interest rate waste of capital?
No. I'm kidding.
Okay. Yes.
I threw you off with it.
Yeah, you did.
I agree. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like you look at home ownership in general, as far as just kind of comparing apples to apples versus renting. You know, like, I kind of understand where he's coming from, in a way, but not really. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I understand as far as like what his point is he's all about upfront capital, investing my money in risk. You know, what's going to be more risky, and I guess he's looking at it saying that the real estate market is more a higher risk than other investments and putting your money there. But I don't think that's true.
No.
I mean, you look over the history of home ownership and mortgages, and I mean, yes, we've had a crash or two, but nothing to that extent.
And let's go back. We've had a crash or two. I mean, how many properties? I mean, any real estate training program, any real estate coaching program, they're going to tell these real estate agents, hey, look, this expired market is a rat race. There's a ton of people out there that are going after these expireds, right?
Yep.
What you need to do, take a step back, go back and find the properties that were 2008, 2009 that expired off the market, and then come back because the people aren't still chasing those. Now go to these people and find out what their motivation was and see if it's still their motivation to try to list these properties.
Yep.
And what you'll find out is a lot of times these properties, you could list them for 20% more than they were listed then and didn't sell in 2008 and sell them overnight.
Yeah.
So at what part is that a dangerous investment? Like, you know, if when things go bad, when the market crashes, you sit in your house. You still live in your house. You eat in your house. When rain's there,
still need houses.
Exactly, it's still there. People still need houses. So you want to hold out and get your money back plus equity. You sit there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about it too. I mean, I at a younger age, I rented. That was my, you know, of course, I didn't own a home. It wasn't my first purchase. I was in a rent, and I look at the money that, I guess, in the almost 3 years that in rent. it was like $27,000. That's gone, you know.
Jeez.
So like to me, I'm just like, what's the investment? Okay, so I'm renting, and he kind of brought it up a little bit in another video, is that he looks at, or maybe correct me if I'm wrong, was it Grant or was it him that talked about as far as the renting versus the buying, as far as like the mortgages of interest rates and everything like that.
That was Grant. Hey, Grant,
yeah.
Grant talked about that. I think his statement was something. I'm paraphrasing, but home ownership. Buying a home has never been for the person, never been for the people.
Exactly.
It's been for the banks.
For the bank,
Yeah.
exactly. But like, what is renting? It's for the people. I mean, you're still paying a mortgage. It's just somebody else's mortgage.
But with
We
zero
say that all the
principal.
time.
Zero principal.
Was it? Yeah, and you get nothing when you in 2 or 3 years. What do you got out of it? Nothing.
Yeah.
So that's a good investment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I don't know. It's just so. I also want to talk about our man Chris Smith.
Yeah.
He chimed in quickly. You know, let's kind of, you heard his response. What's your thoughts on what Chris had to say?
Chris, I mean, Chris came hard and Chris came fast.
Yeah.
I'm not going to drop it. That's what she said. But Chris came hard and fast. Okay. And so he, and what he said was true. It was, is when folks are, real estate agents and all this, they're seeing Gary V and he's throwing these,
Realtor events.
Yeah, realtor events, realtor conferences. They're paying what? How much for a ticket? I mean, just
$800.
Yeah, for a ticket to go to these things, and he's sitting there telling them
to talk to them about being a real estate agent, how to get business and sell homes and things like that.
Right,
Yeah.
and a part of that is
just happened.
knowing the investment. Yeah, it just
Last
happened.
month, it was just a couple weeks ago.
And then you come back, a month later and say I'd never buy a home. It's just kind of a slap in the face, like, hey, I got your money. Joke's on you. This I don't even believe in what you do.
Yeah.
And then and I know he came back with his response, and it was I'll say this: it's Gary. One thing I like about Gary V is he does respond. He comes back and he likes open dialogue, which is what we're doing here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like he said, it's one man opinion, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah,
I just want
it's just wrong.
Yeah, I just want just let's talk about it. Let's give one man's opinion versus two guys' opinion.
That's right. Oh, drinking beer. Yeah. But I mean, coming into that, so it's my opinion is, it doesn't look good for you to be investing in something you don't believe in, and he invested, his time into this, set this whole thing up, and I mean it was for profit. I mean, he says he lost money, but it was for profit, and he doesn't even believe in the industry, and what we do.
And again, I guess that's one of those things too. I would like to maybe kind of hear his side of things more as far as his event and his purpose, as far as because he kind of chimed back in and said that he actually lost money, 6 figures or so on the event, which is, it's fine. But again, what's the point of the event if you're not supporting our industry? If you're not a believer as far as what we're trying to do, as far as help people with the American dream of owning a home.
Yeah.
So what's the point of your event?
Yeah. What is the point? And I'll tell you this: you know how he wouldn't have lost that 6 figures?
Beer and real estate.
Well, he could invest in our show or homes. He still would have had it.
Good idea.
Just straight invested in real estate. But I mean, obviously that one was a bad investment.
Yeah. So you mentioned before Grant Cardell. Mm-hmm. So Grant, another guy, I love Grant. He's 10x. He's a go-getter. He is a hustler, just like Gary is. But he's kind of said something similar in the past as well. Is that he doesn't believe in home ownership as your personal home. Only as your personal home, but not as far as like anything beyond that. What's your thoughts on that?
You're saying that he believes that you should not own a home as your personal home.
Personal home.
Only for investment purposes.
Investment purposes.
I mean,
correct.
Well, Grant pushes the 4 horsemen of prison products is what he talks about.
Yep.
If you've heard that. 401k, homes, credit cards, and college. Which is the same thing, Gary V. In his thing, he said, I forget, I'm paraphrasing again, but he said maybe in 1950 something, 1970 something, college and buying a home was a good idea, but not in 2019.
Not now. Correct.
I completely and utterly disagree with him too. I mean, obviously, okay. Here's my opinion. You want to go into the investment market. You want to buy homes to flip. You want to buy homes to rent out.
Yeah.
Make that investment. How can you go into any investing and not come from a position of power? How can you have a weak foundation to go into it? Actually, who talks about that, not necessarily in this, in this way, but Jerry James,
Yeah.
If you listen to what he says, the first thing that he does in coaching is he does a financial audit of each of his students. I'm talking like
Full
anything
on
that they're
board.
doing. If it's
Correct.
gym, if it's whatever, full on
Everything.
audit. Because in his mind, before you go in and you do a lead generation system, before you go all in on something, you're going to have to come from a position of power.
Yeah.
You don't want to be coming from a reactionary standpoint on anything in your life. You always want to be proactive.
Correct.
And so I feel like that's where Grant is off. Is that you're going to sit back and waste again your capital. Like, you're talking about spending capital, but you're spending your capital on your rent every single month. That's money coming out of your bank every single month.
And
that goes nowhere.
That's what I'm saying. That's the biggest thing. It's just like at no point is renting it's not even an investment. You can't even. To me, it's like how do you even? It's not in the category of investment.
Mm-mm.
So I mean, that's just the biggest thing. Is like, okay, I'm gonna take this money that I could have put in home ownership, and 10 years from now, made that money back, or I'm just gonna rent for next couple of years and put that same money somewhere else. But yet over here, while I'm renting, I'm now going to lose this $20,000-$30,000 or so in rent over the next 4 or 5 years. That it just doesn't make sense.
It makes zero sense.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we all know, everybody knows that buying a home is building wealth. If you don't have home ownership, you don't have wealth.
Yeah.
And we, one of our past beer and real estate guests, Steve Harney, had some stats on that we were talking about earlier. What were those stats?
Yeah, I think it's I think the median homeowner has over $200,000 worth of net worth, to where the average or the median renter has like a little over 5,000 net worth. So I mean, just like
that's intense.
So again, we're talking about long-term investment, long-term wealth. Homeowners have an average of a little over $200,000 in net worth compared to only $5,000 in net worth.
Okay, now let's go this way. Here's with homeowners. These homeowners aren't savvy investors. Okay.
Yeah.
You have to have no investment mindset. Really, as long as you're decent with your money and they're not these savvy investors. So they're buying into these homes, and all of a sudden their net worth over something didn't even think about it was for. They didn't go into this for an idea to have net worth.
Yeah.
Maybe they got into it to not have to worry about a landlord kicking them out if they decide that they want their daughter to move into the property. Maybe they didn't want to have
payments going up year after year.
Yeah, and then locked into a contract. That's they have all these reasons that are just personal, real life reasons to own a house. And so now these folks have this savings account, if you would. Equity is a savings account that they can cash out.
Is a forced savings account.
That's exactly right. It's a forced savings account.
Exactly.
Like they had no option, and it's not. They don't even think about it. It's like, I just got to make my payment this month. I made this payment. Ching, dime in the piggy bank.
Exactly.
And it's and so that's why homeownership is so important. And I mean, it really. People that don't even think about retirement, like this, not on their mind. They're young. Don't think about retirement.
Not when you're going. Not younger homeowners. No.
Right. But they have a retirement. They're living in their retirement.
Yeah. Well, and it's just a trickle down effect. Yes, this. You think about the average person now. It's what it used to be 7 years in their home. Now it's 10. I think it's kind of gone up a little bit. But you think about that. This is my home for the next 10 years. Well, then I want to take the equity savings that I built to this home and put it to the next one, to where, like you said, that's on my 4th, 5th, 6th home, whatever it is. Now that's my retirement account. I'm going in and I've got all this equity. And you kind of, I guess the move up mindset.
Exactly.
But you need some more beer?
I think I do.
Who's our sponsor today?
Oh, today it is Liberty again. Liberty has
Liberty
lost
does.
my cap. Liberty has some incredible beers. What are we doing today? You know this one.
This is the Deep River Wheat.
Deep River Wheat.
Yep.
Deep River.
Yep.
That was a whole Chevy. No. Never mind. Let me top you off here.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
This feels super formal right now.
So diving right back into it. Sorry for the interruption. Liberty, thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
So basically, we're talking about the forced savings account, long-term wealth with home ownership. Rewind a little bit as far as the opposite. So if you were I don't know what kind of call your age out a little bit, but way back a couple years ago, you're a young guy.
Spring chicken.
Kind of get to that point where you're now looking as far as getting out on your own. Do I want to look into renting, or do I want to look into being a homeowner? How would you kind of evaluate those two options? What's some things that you might kind of look for?
Well, that's hard. I was kind of a real estate brat, so coming up, it was
renting
was
ever.
Okay. So evaluating options again is you talking about pros and cons. What do you mean options?
Well, yeah, I mean, just kind of you hear. I mean, I'll say it again. Gary V is a very a lot of people know Gary Vee. Like he's got a lot of followers. So if you're one of those young folks that's,
Following Gary
Vee, and you kind of hear this, do you feel like it kind of changes your mind a little bit and you kind of look, or do you kind of still, what would you look for?
If I was a Gary Vee follower, and let's say I was just a diehard Gary Vee follower, there's certain things that when you hear, they go against the grain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if somebody tells you that it's healthy to eat a serving of fried chicken a day, you'd be like, maybe I should Google this because I don't know, that doesn't sound right. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like,
or eat it and then Google it.
Yeah, I mean after fried chicken, But no, it's like if I hear that and it goes so against the grain of everything you've ever heard, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's everybody. I feel like it's kind of every person knows that that's the best option. It's just if you have that option.
Yeah.
So if I hear this, I would go and I would obviously Google rent versus buy and start looking and seeing
numbers and things like that.
What other people have said about it, and I think everybody that follows somebody knows that there's going to be an opinion that is not maybe on point with reality. Yeah. And so I don't know if it would affect me. I mean, honestly, he's talking about. Okay, let's back up too. Okay. Yeah, Gary Vee.
We're about to both go there.
Yes. Yeah, Gary Vee is not really. I think he used to be, but I don't think he's really in touch with reality and us normal income folks as far as investments go.
Okay.
When he talks about investments and what you can do, it's like, okay, if you do this and if you do this and you do this, I mean, it's such a large amount of capital for some of the investments he's talking about. Like, all you have to do is this, and that's not reality for us.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of,
or maybe for you, but for us normal folks.
No. So no, we're not going there. So, anyways, I guess that's what it's one of those things where I'm always like, Gary, if you're listening, we want to have this conversation with you.
He's probably not.
It's being real estate.
That's true. That's true.
He might.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I just want to say, are you saying this based on if you have the capital to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars? Do you want to go out and buy, or invest and get a mortgage on a $5 million house? Or do you think that he's speaking directly to whether it's a $100,000 house or whatever it is? Do you think he's speaking to no matter what, home ownership is not a good idea?
I think he's speaking to any kind of liquid funds should not be spent. And so if you have liquid funds, which you're talking about your capital, you're wasting it by putting it into real estate. And then that's the ignorance of the market.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make this too hyper local, but even in the surrounding area of High Point, North Carolina, from what he's saying, if I came and talked to any real estate agent in High Point, North Carolina, and I said, I really want to be around, that Emerywood area, that golf course. I want to be near the stadium that's coming up. Any agent that is worth a grain of salt is going to say, oh, well, let's get you into that Core City program where they provide your down payment for you, where there's no change in interest rate, where if you live there for so long, it's paid for. Yeah. It's forgiven. And so there's no capital needed to get into that, and you're not taking an elevated interest rate.
Yeah.
So at the same time, it's just like at that point, it kind of goes against the argument. I guess on the
local, and I guess it's one of those things too. It's just like, again, I keep saying that it doesn't make sense. It's just like I want to get into the mind of Gary as far as what, and even Grant as far as what, and I know there's probably other people out there that think this is, I guess they're just thinking the normal home buyer that you were just talking about that's looking at down payment, closing costs, $5,000 to $10,000, whatever it is, just kind of throwing some numbers. Like, you're gonna say you don't buy that house and you put that money into rent. It's still like, it's just one of those hard things. Like you're never getting it back. Yeah. I just can't grasp my mind around it. It's just like, I understand, like I said, now we'll say there are some circumstances where rent makes sense depending on the individual and things like that.
Yeah.
Jobs, moving around, things like that. There's all kinds of different scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're stable, this is where you're gonna be at. Mm-hmm. You're gonna kind of set your ground here in this local town, whatever it is. It just does. I mean, how do you see yourself renting and throwing away? I mean, just think if you're there for 5 or 10 years. I gave that scenario where I was only there for 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
And not joking, it was $26,000, $27,000 that's gone. And I'm like, then it comes to come buying my first house. I'm looking at the down payment options, things like that. I'm like, man, I'd love to have that money back.
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly. And you're looking at, people would say, well, that's not all. You're at that $25,000. Let's be real. A lot of it was interest. What went to principal, but they're not taking into consideration also the appreciation of the home that kind of eats back at that and brings that money back into your pocket.
What you're looking at, you bring in local. I mean, around here, past couple of years, we're over 6% appreciation. So you think about people that bought that house in 2012, 2013. Well, actually, speaking of, you talked about it earlier when we interviewed Steve Harvey. What did he say? He said that it was over 40-some percent, I can't remember percentage, of homes in America today have at least 50% equity in their house.
Yeah.
You remember that? I mean, it's just
that's
like
incredible.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, that's wealth, that's retirements, that's savings accounts. Where else are you gonna? I mean, there are other options, but as far as like security, I should say, and home ownership, you're not going to get that wealth in a renting.
You're exactly right.
So if here's my next question: if Gary V was here today, well, first off, do you remember the other episode? What was his nickname? What'd you call him? Did this remind you of his name? Brian?
Okay, so
I kind of caught you.
I'll not mess up again.
Yeah.
So if y'all have seen Death of the Brand, I accidentally called Gary V Chuck V, and you'll have to go back and watch that one.
Yeah.
But anyway, now we joke that it's Gary V's uncle.
Yeah, and then this pops up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But what were you asking? I know there was, so we're going somewhere else with that.
That's all right. I'll tell you, I didn't want to call you out or anything. If Gary was here today and you wanted to have this one-on-one, two guys' opinion, what do you feel like? What would be the one thing you ask him? Putting you on the spot.
Oh, yeah, that is one thing I'd ask him. If Gary Vee was here today and he started spewing out this his opinion on this,
because he believes this.
Yeah, well, I mean, we kind of already spoke on it. Like, how do you justify the loss of, just like Brian, 3 years? 3 years renting. How do you justify the loss of $25,000 because your capital that you're saying you should save is going towards rent? Your capital is still being used towards rent, and it's going at 100% interest. How do you justify that?
Yes, and then also, I mean, whose wealth are you building? Yours or
you're
the
building
landlord's?
Exactly. You're building the landlord's wealth. And Gary B would tell me, you don't need to buy, but I'll rent you one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I'm sure it's a great investment for him.
Make me money.
Yeah, exactly.
And Grant will as well. I mean,
Grant definitely would.
Yeah, that's kind of what he's
sell me a pair of his socks. I mean, he definitely would.
Yeah.
He has. I don't know if you've seen the Grant Cardone socks. I don't mean he's used socks, but he sells packs of socks that are really nice.
Anyway. Sorry, Grant. Look that up, man. I'm sorry.
Surprised you don't have a pair. But
don't help with that. I got the K-Swiss.
Gary.
Well, they're pretty nice shoes. Though. I like them. But I'll take Chris's shoes over Gary's shoes. The
Jordans, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So to end it, I just want to kind of end it as far as like for the not worrying about Gary, not worrying about Grant, going back into what we were talking about as far as our people. We're in real estate. This is what we do. We help people with the American dream of owning a home. So let's talk about that real quick as far as, again, going back, I asked you as far as if you were that young person, again, looking to buy a house. What are some options out there as far as that's available to some of these folks? You mentioned it, like Core City and things like that. What's some of the options out there that might help a person get over the edge as far as wondering about, should I buy a home or rent if I don't have the funds or anything like that?
Well, obviously, talk to a real estate agent. That's the obvious answer. Talk to a real estate agent because there is there's so many options that I mean, again, this isn't hyper local. This is countrywide.
Yeah.
But okay, well, what area are you trying to live in? Well, I want to live out in the county because I want lower taxes and I like this school out here.
Yeah.
And you say, well, let's look at a rural loan. USDA loan is going to have a. Yeah. You hear I said rural there? I still can't say it right. Rural. And so you're going to have these options there that are that's going to be a lower interest rate.
Yeah.
You're going to have no down payment. And it's going to be the same fixed rate for 30 years. And so that gets away with the whole capital thing.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, be whatever. Actually, this is great. Grant Cardone says that the 401k is the devil. It's he says, one of the four horsemen. Yeah, it's the devil. So here's the best. So Grant may actually like this one. We call your 401k company and say, hey, look, I'm buying a house. I guarantee you, the majority of 401k companies, or that I've worked with, 401k organizations, they consider it. I'm actually not going to say that. Pretty much,
I know what you mean.
They let you pull out the money for your down payment if you're a first time home buyer. Without penalty or having to pay, whatever on it. It's just pulled out and you put it in there. So all of a sudden now we're taking from our 401k that I hate to be whatever. I agree with Grant on it. I don't think much of 401ks, but I don't think.
Okay.
Can anybody get angry at that? I don't think I'll get yelled at this time.
I don't know.
Okay, but anyway, so
You get yelled at enough.
But I would take it out and put it into my house, and then all of a sudden that money's secured. And I mean, if the market goes to crap, I'll just wait for 4 years, 2 years, 3 years, and all of a sudden my money's back plus some.
Yeah.
It's
like trying to figure out what stock to put it in or what investment.
Yeah, that I'm going to lose it. I mean, in my opinion, there's a good chance, a huge chance that it could go anywhere.
You think we can get beer and real estate stock?
I don't know. That scares me. I don't think that we're. I think we. No, I don't think that's a great idea.
All right, but anyway,
I don't want investors to talk, get out to us.
But anyways, like I said, that was the last thing I really had. Do you have anything else to add?
Yes. So I'm just going to talk on the Gary Vee thing. Okay. I'm just going to end it with this. Okay. Because I'm going to say
I feel like this is something good coming. Right?
It is. We both think that you're brilliant, Gary. I mean, there's no question about that. I mean, a lot of people do. I mean,
I got all your books.
There you go.
Yep.
And I know your cousin Chuck. And so, but we honestly we think you're brilliant. But I'm going to tell you this: you are 100% wrong. Changed my mind.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
guys, we're out of beer. Thanks for tuning in.
Almost.
Please, we're going to finish this up. Just don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.
And actually, leave us your comments, because if those of you've seen this, I want to hear what the consumers got to say.
Yeah, I want to hear people that aren't real estate agents.
I want to hear some feedback, because we can post some things that there's been a lot of conversations today about this video. So if you're one of those folks seen it, post your comments below. Let us know what you thought. And as well, as like Ryan said, make sure you subscribe and look forward to more episodes of Beer and Real Estate.
Very soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
Thanks,
Have a good one, guys. Later.